There are no shortcuts to getting highly coveted press coverage for your brand, only smart cuts like the DIY PR project. Learn how to grow your brand's credibility with PR on a budget with me by your side. This program is your all-in-one membership with expert training, customizable templates, and a supportive community to cheer you on every step of the way. Join us and start growing your business with free publicity today. Sign up now at diy-pr.com. Today, I am joined by a digital marketing powerhouse, my friends. Her name is Fulya Uygun, and she's the founder of Bowery Boost in New York City, here to talk with us today about building brands with intention, scaling with strategy, and what it really takes to get results in the paid media world that we know is constantly evolving. We dive into Fulya's journey from L'Oreal and Dermstore to launching her own performance marketing agency, which primarily supports women-founded e-commerce brands in beauty, fashion, and wellness. She shares what most founders get wrong about paid ads. Hint, hint, it's not a silver bullet, as many people set out to think. How she helps clients make every dollar count, and why sustainable growth beats rapid scale every time. From platform diversification to how PR, organic content, and ads can and must work together, this conversation is packed with practical tips, emerging trends, and agency level insight for growing your brand. I am so stoked to have Fulya on the Grow Your Wealth podcast. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Grow Your Wealth podcast. It's so great to see you again.
It's so great to see you too. I'm super excited to be here.
I am so thrilled. Our listeners are in for a treat. You have had such an incredible career history. And now, as the founder of Bowery Boost, take us back before we look ahead. I'd love to hear more about your past, working with some of these powerhouse brands like L'Oreal, Dermstore. What was that like? I would love to hear more about your early days.
Absolutely. So I started digital marketing in New York, I think about 15, maybe 17, 18 years ago. I start counting now. I work at small startups, get them from like seed funding to Series A and Series B, and major companies like L'Oreal. I was hired to launch a brand for them. And then Dermstore, which is a major company from UK, they were growing their US team here. So I was leading their Canada and US operations. It's been wonderful. There's a lot of experience that come from working in a small startup in a larger company. And then it's super valuable, like managing the team without actually paying their salaries is slightly different. And then again, like managing multi-million dollars of budgets or managing budgets that are like barely there and then trying to scale them. So that experience was extremely valuable. And that led me to start actually Bowery Boost, seeing firsthand, working closer with the founders, especially on the smaller brands, understanding the pain points and knowing how I can fix it because I did it before, and then taking that experience and then making it an agency, and then kind of like figuring out who I can work with. It mainly are women founders has been the background story of Bowery Boost.
That is so cool. I love that we also share that in common, is really starting our agencies, working closely with founders and working closely with small businesses. I don't know about you, but I really feel like supporting small businesses is the most challenging type of business to support, right? Because budgets are usually a little bit thinner, and you've got to be really creative in order to really maximize that budget in order to get maximum results for your clients. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. It is for a lot of brands. And sometimes when they are first starting, it's make or break. So it's a lot harder to like run a whole bunch of tests and then say, hey, it didn't work. Like we can't necessarily have that room to like a major test. So it's very important that every dollar we spent is eventually converting to something profitable or some sort of a learning. It is a lot, whatever we are doing also, that's the best part of it. The impacts that we have over their businesses is very valuable too. So we are super cautious with the money that we are spending on their behalf. And then we can see the results right away on their growth. So it's like super rewarding at the same time, a little bit kind of like, all right, am I doing the right thing? So it's a fun journey for sure, working closely with the founders and on the smaller brands.
Oh, you must feel so, so happy for them and so proud. Let's take a moment. So, you talked about the amazing results that you provide for your clients. What is the outcome that your clients get at Bowery Boost, and how do you help them get there? What kind of services do you provide?
Absolutely. So I do define it as like a 360 media buying services. So it starts with, of course, your creative, your ads creative, performance creative. This is the most important piece of the puzzle because everything has changed after iOS 14, as we all know. Tracking is a little tricky. So your creative needs to tell the story, why you started it, what is it different, why your product is different, and why someone should purchase that. We, by the way, do mainly product-based services. So starting with the creative, but our core is media buying. So we do any channel that is trackable is where we come into play. So if let that be Meta, TikTok, Pinterest, Reddit, anything that we can pull the data from out of home, like programmatic TV ads, we can do all of those. That being said, majority of our clients use this for paid social and paid search. And then we built our own data platform called Boostify, which integrates our brands with Shopify and then pull all the metrics and give them this beautiful dashboard that they can track their cost of acquisition, whatever metric matters for their e-commerce business. Like what is the percentage of organic revenue coming from it? What is the percentage of email? What is the percentage of pay? So you can actually pretty much like see it. So starting from creative, ending with data. Data is my background. When I first started, there was no Meta ads. It was all Google data, affiliate marketing. So it's like boring text and numbers are all we had. Right now, everything is a lot more exciting. So we were trying to build this like media buying service that starts with the creative and with the data tells the story of why something might work and what worked and what didn't work for our partners.
Oh, I love that. I love that you also have your own proprietary platform as well too with Boostify. That is
Yeah.
so, so cool. So tell me a little bit about founding Bowery Boost as well too, Fulia. What was your vision and how has it evolved? How many years have you also been in business now?
So we are 5 years old right now. So I have a long version and a short version of a story. I'll do the long version story a little shorter. So initially, how I started was when I was actually getting my graduate degree, I started an e-commerce site in New York. It was a jewelry site. And I was, I was doing marketing degree and I already have a marketing background. It's jewelry business. I'm not a designer by any means, but I was buying international designers, woman-founded designers products and bringing them to US. And while doing that, we also built a tech tool, which was a virtual dressing room. And so you can hop on an computer and then with the camera you can try jewelry, which I don't know if it's necessary, but it was super fun to build it. So we were one of the semi-finalists of IBM Smart Camp, which was a competition IBM used to throw internationally and in here as well. Um, we became one of the semi-finalists. What I did while I was starting it's my first experience startup business, put all my money on this amazing tech tool and merchandise. And I ended up with absolute nothing to spend on marketing. So this is like one experience that I opened my eyes. And then afterwards, as a woman founded company, an immigrant founded company, and that was an e-commerce boom. There was a lot of money going around during those years. I'm talking about 15, 18 years ago, but I couldn't get anything, nothing, no money. We have this like IBM Smart Game semi-finalist. We built this website. We have amazing merchandise, but no funding for me. So I was already learning digital marketing. I was already like advancing in it, but there was like Meta ads were in their very early stages. So having gone through that experience of starting a business and understanding how challenging it is, and then I find my way in marketing so deep that I loved it. So I was like, all right, I know what they're going through. I can take my experience. I know what I love and what I am good at, which is marketing. So I know their background, I know their experience. So I can take that and I can start a marketing company, understanding every channel my partners are going through because I've been there already. So that is like my main vision, was working really closely with women founders because I've been there and trying to help them with the expertise that we have to grow their businesses. So the vision is the same. The mission is the same. We are still doing the same thing. The only thing that has changed, and the change because of the environment and the economy, is the size of the business that we are working changed slightly. Used to be a lot easier in like 5 years ago to have a couple of $1,000s to spend on digital marketing and still see results. It is a lot harder now with limited budgets. So the sizes are getting slightly bigger, but the audience and the companies that we work with, still women-founded brands, still brands that are scaling. They're still very early stage brands. It's just the size is slightly bigger. Mission, everything stays the same. 95% of our customers are women-founded brands in fashion, beauty, and the consumer space.
Ooh, I love it. We have a lot in common there too. And at Factor PR, we focus on everything you don't. So like don't do any performance marketing. We don't do digital advertising. So I am always fascinated about this because I'm consistently encouraging my clients, right, to take a more integrated approach to their brand growth journey, right? It's not PR versus marketing. It really should be the two of them, right? Like how important is that? Nevertheless, I like to, kind of keep my finger on the pulse on what is happening in your world so that I can at least help guide my clients. I don't, help with information, but not obviously the implementation. But that being said, how has digital marketing changed? You mentioned it has changed. I know that during COVID, for example, 5 years ago, right? More of us were spending more time online, right? And so maybe the cost to capture a new customer was not what it is now. But what I've sort of been hearing is, rumblings about it is getting more expensive. Like your investment is still worthwhile, of course, but you can't necessarily get away with what you spent 5 years ago, which I think that's kind of true across the board in anything, right? Um, can you tell us a little bit about what is causing these changes and how can some of these early stage brands really adapt? Like how can they get as much out of their budget while not necessarily sacrificing results? I know you've also talked about telling us about growing fast is not always the answer as well too, which I'm assuming has a little bit to do with this too.
Absolutely. So there are a lot of things changed throughout this last, like, I'm not going to go all the way to 10 years, but with iOS 14's updates, everything has changed. So it used to be a lot easier to just do DTC advertising, like paid advertising, and grow. That was it, right? Everybody was just like putting money in paid and then they were growing. Everybody forgot about organic and awareness and the importance of actually building a brand. So during COVID, back to the again, like the DTC world, where, as you just said, it was so easy to just do paid and then still grow. Everybody was online, they were shopping. Now it's not that. We're back to actual marketing. You need to build a brand for me to be able to sell it. So it is so valuable that the brand's organic presence, what they're doing in the PR, how they are just building this like channel mix rather than just focusing on one. It doesn't work alone by itself. If you're just focusing on paid, it is, there might be some cost of acquisition that we are hitting and you want to scale it up, but you're not scaling your organic. So you're pushing your paid faster than your actual organic presence. You'll break the machine, your CAC will go up. So that figuring out the right channel mix based on your budget is so crucial. You need to figure out something that is not paid, that is awareness based, that is organic based, that just helps the paid machine to actually function. The clients that we work the best, they have the organic presence, they have the PR, they have the influencers, and the ones that actually works the best is where they involve us in all of these. So I know what's going on. I know if there's an article coming up, I can use it in ads. I know if there's like influencer content that is killing it, I can use it in paid. So I think it really I think depends on where the brand is on their journey and where their budgets are. But there's a way to make it organic and paid together, almost like 50-50, and let them grow together. Otherwise, if you push that 70% here, 30% here, I can guarantee your CAC is not going to look as good as it can when they're actually working together. So, and then I think there's another thing is what you're saying is so true. Advertising, especially on Meta and Google, is not going to get cheaper. It's every year it become more and more expensive. There are a lot of things that happens. Like last year, Q4, we said, oh, this is the election. That's why if it's so important. Right now, there is this madness going on, and then it is still very expensive. So very early on, understanding what are my channels that I'm expecting performance, and what are the different channels that can drive my impressions, like cost-effective impressions, cost-effective clicks. If you invest the same money on the same channels year over year, your traffic declines, everything declines with it. So you need to really build a channel mix that makes sense, that still drives the awareness, still drives the traffic to your site, in addition to, of course, your paid and your regular channels, which drives performance and performance only. So it's a nice game of, building this media mix and then understanding where your brand is. I'm looking at your metrics year over year. Where am I losing? Is this my Is my traffic increasing or decreasing? Looking at it and building a media plan with your full team, 360 team, is very, very valuable right now rather than focusing on one or the other.
Absolutely. And you mentioned something I think so critically important too, right? Like no part of your marketing should be like this, but yet sometimes I'm astonished to see
Yeah,
folks kind of set it and forget it. Like this does have to be actively managed, right? Because like
absolutely.
there is data to learn from, but like there are also adjustments it sounds like that you can make to optimize it too, right?
Yeah, we're on the ad accounts every day. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to adjust your accounts every day, but you need to know what is going on there every day. The consumption of people changed a lot throughout these last years. The consumption of content changed a lot. There are things that you need to just stay on top of what is happening, what is trending. You need to understand that something that might work even like last month might not work now. You need to understand why this is changing. Stay on top of it, tweak it, update it, adjust your budgets if this things happen, right? Like January, we started initially, it was good. This month has been like, there are a lot of promotions happening. If you don't adjust, like if the CPMs are going up, your cost of acquisition is going up, you need to just adjust your budget based on that. So this is a daily kind of like a process. And then you need to really stay on top of it. If you're spending money, if you're spending it smartly, you need to make sure that it makes sense for your brands for you to thrive. Otherwise, set and forget is definitely not the way to run paid advertising at all right now, especially now. Like it's every month is so different. There is no way something that worked last month, it might not work. We don't know what's going to happen.
Absolutely. Something that you had mentioned earlier as well too, I think is really interesting. I know that paid advertising really dominates Meta, Google, but you mentioned Pinterest, you mentioned Reddit. I'm even curious about LinkedIn. Would you suggest, or is it really dependent on the brand, diversifying your performance ad spend or focusing on certain channels? Which channels, how do you make that decision with your clients, which channels to invest in? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it definitely depends on the stage of the business, where they are and what they tested. Let's say they are launching, they have some data, they already did their work, product market fit is there, organic is already there. For anyone like that, we usually start with two channels, Meta and Google. With these two channels, what you can accomplish is you're understanding your CPA, cost per acquisition, your cost per acquiring one net new customer. All of these metrics are a little easier with Meta and Google. And then we take those and then we go to, depending on your average order value or your industry. If for a furniture client, we'll go to Pinterest. For a beauty client with a $30 lipstick, for example, we go to TikTok. So it's just like figuring that out, and then whatever channel makes sense for your business. And then we need to diversify because again, the cost per clicks on Meta and cost per clicks on Pinterest are not the same, or TikTok. And then some of these channels do not work the same way. Pinterest users, they build their boards. You get the awareness, you get the really high quality traffic, but the conversion doesn't happen right away like Meta and Google. So you need to like analyze this channel slightly different. You're getting high quality traffic. This is your traffic channel. TikTok, awareness. The people are there for entertainment and also news, really. Um, so if your content is not that, you'll get the awareness, but maybe you don't get the site engagement, but you're getting the awareness. So it depends on the stage of the business and where they are with their budgets, and then the industry of the business. And then we could take that and we can be like, all right, these two channels draw this amount of CPA. Now I'm going to add another channel, one more channel. I'm going to add 5 to 10% of your overall budget to it. I'm going to test and see incrementality there. If your CAC is declining, hey, this is working, even if the channel doesn't necessarily drive the last click conversion. So kind of like looking at it, the budget wise, but diversification is a must for a lot of channels. For some brands, TikTok is working better than Meta right now. If the prices on Meta is like super high, that is a channel to definitely explore. I suggest everyone, especially now, to definitely invest in an attribution solution especially if you're running like 2, 3 different channels to see the full picture. But if that is not there, you can always look at incrementality, like is my cost of acquisition increasing or decreasing with the addition of new channels. So there's a lot of nuances. It's so much fun, but it's channels are out there. We just need to figure out which one is the right one for each partner, based on their spend levels, their industry, their expectations of growth in the next like 3 to 6 months.
That's so interesting. So, okay, so you start with fewer channels, test those, integrate other channels, always be testing, right, as well too. And then let's now talk about scale. Okay, so at this point, I'm a beauty brand and I want to grow. And we know everybody wants to grow fast. They'll give it, I hope, the at least minimum 3 to 6 months. And they're like, all right, let's add fuel to the fire. But not everybody grows the right way, right? You talk a lot about sustainable scaling. What does that look like? And why should brands really focus on sustainable growth over, overnight success?
Yeah, absolutely. So it changed a lot. It used to be getting VC funds was a lot easier, getting investments was a lot easier. In the early days when we were working with companies, they're getting seeds, Series A, it will take a year in between to get those. So there will be like bridge fundings if you need something. So um, accessing cash was a lot easier. So a lot of times we will just pay attention to growth. Nobody will look at the contribution margin. Nobody will look at the bottom line. They will be like, if your LTV is positive, keep spending. So what happens is sometimes we spend money and we will acquire customers and we will be losing money while acquiring a customer, investing in future. Versus if this customer doesn't purchase again, you don't have a business. Everything is super tight right now. You need to make sure that every customer you buy in the first purchase is actually profitable. It makes sense for your business. There are going to be a lot of tests that we run and some of them fails. Whatever failures happens and it's very natural, but you need to have some learnings from them to implement for your future. So what we do is like we're extremely cautious with the dollars that we spend to make sure every dollar adds to your survival, thrive for your for you to thrive in the future. We want to make sure that every dollar that is spent wisely, that there's a purpose behind it. We want to make sure we understand your contribution margin, which is in basic how we can define it, I guess, like almost like a profit, but it's not really your cost of products. Your all of the money that you're spending to actually acquire a customer, you take all of those out, and then whatever is left, if I have that number, I would never go above that, and I'll try to go below it so that you're actually putting money in your pocket while we're acquiring customers. And if you're not getting there, if you're not hitting that profitable purchase, then we need to test out. We go back to the drawing board. We like test creatives, test hooks, test channels, diversify, work with your organic, work with your PR to understand how we can get there. But ideally, we shouldn't be scaling unless you're actually positive while we're acquiring customers. It depends on the companies. There are a lot of companies that get investments are comfortable doing that. And we'll do it, of course, together to have some certain amount of testing and learnings. But ideally, we should make sure that our every dollar that we spend is actually returning plus one positive return at spend for all of our partners.
So smart as well too. Let's also talk about running an agency right now as well. Like it's clear that you are at the top of your game over at Bowery Boost, and it's a big reason why you attract such high caliber clients, and you guys always have in your 5 years. Nevertheless, we are in unprecedented times, Fulya. I mean, I feel like that's been the name of the game for the last 20 years, maybe. I know that even running my own agency, it's what we did a year ago, 2 years ago. We're shape shifting. Even right now, we're kind of like reorganizing and refocusing, which I think is a very exciting. But nevertheless, right, when you're also simultaneously supporting your current clients, but also attracting new clients, have you felt any shifts in your industry as well, too?
Yes, it is tight and hard right now for a lot of brands. They don't know the future. When you have a lot of uncertainty, investing in anything is very difficult. So we are taking it a day at a time right now. We are going really easy. It's a little easier with paid advertising because you see the results right away. If the results don't make sense, we're just being really cautious. And I'm doing it for my own company as well. I'm just like looking at everything and then see, hey, if this spend doesn't make sense, let's just cut it out. Like we want to make sure that we have a future that we can support our clients the way that we do. And then in order to accomplish that for every client of ours, we're making sure that, like the spend makes sense and it's not only that, the inventory is becoming a problem as well. We started talking about it. So this month, for example, like we have Mother's Day and Memorial Day. Those are actually really promotional times. But if they're not going to be able to get the inventory in on time, does that even matter to run a promotional Memorial Day? Like then you're going to run out of inventory. So we're just like really not even planning for June at this point. We're just like planning for May. And from an kind of like an agency standpoint, I just listened to like an e-marketer like around tariffs, a webinar on Monday. They're suggesting like the CCTV budgets will move to like paid. So that might happen. There might be some, because it's trackable, it's easier. Like in some kind of like a TV ads, I can see like why budgets will move around to more performance, but everything is going to be a little more strict, a little bit like the room that we have for more of an upper funnel game might be a little tighter until we figure out the game plan for us. Like we're just extremely cautious with what they expect right now. Expectation, hopefully it won't be the most extreme case, but if it happens, we got to be ready, and all of our clients need to be ready as well. Like it's just going to be an extremely conservative time frame for the next few months.
Yeah, that makes sense. It reminds me honestly of 2020 again as well too, even though I feel like with 2020, to be honest, like our business grew during that, recession, during COVID, and has continued to grow since then. Nevertheless, it's not 2020 again. And even though economically speaking, especially here in the United States, but globally as well, we can feel that uncertainty. We see it as business owners, right? All around us, with our customers, within our own four walls too. And it reminds me of this article I read. I love the Harvard Business Review that was published in 2020 as well too, that had mentioned that um, statistically speaking, that when businesses cut their marketing spends during recessions, right? Because that's one of the first things that a lot of companies decide to let go of, because they're like, oh, it's non-essential.
Yeah.
It's non-essential. Right? How do people buy from you if they don't know what you are, that you exist, and so forth? But that businesses who don't cut their spending, or don't cut it significantly, I should say, actually end up not just surviving, but thriving during economic recessions, right? Because your competitors are also taking that knee-jerk reaction, right? And there's an opportunity for you to actually elevate, even perhaps at a lower cost, because there just aren't as many competitors, right?
That's true. Yes, that is very, very true. During those times, and it happened again, like we were, or around 2020, we were talking about a recession. The cost per impressions declines, the cost per clicks decline. If any brand has the room, it will be a fun time to actually invest, because you'll know at the end of this, you're going to be the one surviving, you're going to be the one thriving. There are, I don't want to call it the benefits, but there is definitely going to be some cost benefits that comes with a lot of brands being extremely cautious and cutting the budgets, and the ones that are still investing in marketing. I don't necessarily see a world where a brand can cut marketing and still survive. Like there's a reason why advertising marketing has been around for so many years. It's just like building this wonderful product where nobody knows about it. It's not necessarily, it is, I don't think it can happen. So at the end of the day, when the costs are low, there might be a world for us, for the partners who can actually survive this, to even, end up in a better spot. That's 100% true. We haven't yet seen the cost declines on the platforms. We have it on certain platforms like TikTok and Pinterest and Snapchat and Reddit. It's really low, and it's been always low. But I don't know why like Meta and Google is still just going really high. So we're keeping our eyes on it to see like, when is this going to happen? Like it needs to happen. When is this going to happen? But eventually, yes, when the CPMs go low, it means we will get more eyeballs with the same money. It means we get more traffic. Those are the top level metrics that are super valuable for every brand for the same amount of money, which reflects to your eventually, if the conversion rate stays, you get more traffic. That means you get more revenue at the end of the day. So there is a world that we can survive and even like result in better results. End up with better numbers. But we gotta see what's gonna happen. As long as there's inventory, as long as there's hands that are coming in. Yeah.
You need something to sell for sure. So, that being said, you've seen so many brands from the inside out. While we're on the topic of avoiding mistakes, what are some of the most common mistakes that you see founders make, especially in the early stages of their business and in e-commerce specifically as well too? Speaking of inventory.
Yeah, exactly. So I have so many of those. And some of them are the one that I made, like investing in everything other than marketing, and then coming to a point where you invest all of your money on product, packaging, branding, investing too much on branding, your website, and then all of a sudden nobody knows about it. That's major mistake. Marketing is going to be one of the highest costs, and this is the nature of it. And then you need to just initially, when you're starting the business, you need to really just spare some cash for actually getting the word out. So that's number one. Expecting paid to carry the load is another one. Just coming, like launching a brand, We always suggest the brand to do their due diligence, do product market fit, do actual organic, do actual PR, get some learnings before actually launching paid. It is super valuable. Look, there's a way that we can do it without the organic, but it means I'm going to test everything that can be done with lower budget, with paid budget. So you're adding cost to your game. So if you already have the customer segments ready, if you already have, let's say, a big PR hit from Birdie, let's say, I know who Birdie readers are. So that's an audience I can go after. So if you already have those and then you come to me with those, we will spend less money testing. We will spend more money scaling. So investing too soon on paid sometimes might hurt as well. That being said, there are companies that are launching with major funds. So that types, they are comfortable testing a whole bunch of different things at the same time. That is doable. But if you have limited budgets, don't start paid right off the gate. Like really understand who's your audience first before going there. And the third one that I would say is scaling fast and scaling too soon and expecting your acquisition cost to stay the same. So there's a nature of the business. Your organic growth, let's say, is 20%, right? Like year over year, your organic growth 20%. You can't push this too much, but you're trying to scale paid 80%. So your CAC is going to increase. There's no way out of it. Unless they work together and they grow together. Once you start scaling, your cost of acquisition is definitely going to go up. So either stay in balance with your organic presence, your influences, and your PR and everything, they work together, or expect an increase in CAC. So you can't expect to spend 2 times more, but still expect the same efficiency. It doesn't happen. We can run all the creative tests, all the hook tests, all the audience tests, but unfortunately, there is the nature of the game. Paid alone cannot necessarily support the business's growth and then as efficient as it could when you're on the lower spend levels in MI.
Oh my gosh, those are dynamite, Fulya. Thank you for sharing them. I think that's so, so important because I think that, and I don't know if like social media has influenced this way of thinking, but a lot of folks go into business all or nothing, right? Like that, I mean, as a business owner, right? Like we invest so much of our personal selves into our business and getting to a decision, you're like, okay, full steam ahead. But what I'm hearing from you suggesting is to take a step back and really, you can think about things as almost like percentages, right? Like, especially when you're talking about the importance of organic and paid, we can't turn a result fast enough, right? Because as we see on social media, everyone's overnight success only took 10 years. That's the reality of it, right? And so that being said, I think that's so, so important, especially to building a brand, to have a foundation to stand on, right? While you're scaling your business, right? Because let's say you pull the plug on your ads. I hope you don't, right? But like, what do you have left at the end of the day? We don't run ads all that often. Maybe we should be. And I remember the last time that we did, we were getting, it was ads for our DIY PR program. It was not even for the agency. Just because we've never run ads for a high ticket offer, just for a low ticket. And it was so interesting, exactly what you said, Fulya. People were seeing the ads and what they were doing, they were telling us they were going to our social and they were looking at the content. They almost, right? Because they need trust to reach out. They've got to be like, who is this chick? What the hell does she know? Right. And then they would go and like actually find the sales page and book a call. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm not advertising my agency. I'm advertising this other thing. And it can also just be so, so cool just in terms of, again, like had we had no organic content, how do you build that relationship with people? And I think to your point, it can help do your job a lot more efficiently and a lot more effectively if you do marry organic with paid. So do you help guide your clients on that as well too, just in terms of like the whole 360? Like I think this could really help, like, an editorial strategy for social media, work on that. And then do you ever like kind of dip into that organic content and use it for
Absolutely.
pay too? Oh, cool.
Yes. It is very important because it's the same audience you're targeting. It's not another person that is on Instagram or TikTok. It's the same person. Of course, we can just make it shorter, make it like hooks a little different. But it is, if something is working on organic, most of the times it will work on paid. What we do is like we look at the full picture for our clients, see like where the traffic declines are happening. Sometimes it is so easy for a brand. Like we onboarded some brands that had amazing organic presence, and all of a sudden they started investing in page, and they see the results so fast that they kind of like neglected the organic piece of it. And all of a sudden, what I just said happened, like the numbers started declining. Again, like you can't keep it going only with one of them. So it's easy to just focus on paid because you see the results right away, versus brand building is the most important thing. You can't be just one or the other. And then anything that works in organic gives us so much understanding of what your brand is about, what your customer is about. And I can take that content. It's the best content ever. We just like still like boost through the platforms. Our customers, clients like organic content, and they perform just so much better than a regular ad. So we want this like 360. We want to represent the brand, and it needs to look similar in different platforms. So of course, we're gonna have a whole bunch of ads, and we're gonna maybe like 10% of those are gonna be our organic content. But it is a valuable content. It's super, super useful for us to really take that and be able to use that. So our clients, partners, organic presence is super important. Like when we look at they need to post often. People need to see, especially on TikTok, people just go back and check. If you're not active, whatever I do on ads is not going to work. Like they want to see that you're engaging with them. They want to just engage with their brand partners, and it can't be done with ads. It can't, like that is not enough. It's just a piece of it. It's not everything for sure. They work very wonderfully together when they're all done right, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, even just hearing you talk, Fulia, it's reminding me about how, we've talked about TikTok, Reddit, Meta, Google. I know there's Lemonade, whatever that was, the TikTok platform that came out in January, read something. There's just like so much. I mean, how do I know it's your job to keep up with this, but what advice do you have for founders that are just feeling so overwhelmed, burned out, trying to keep up with the latest and greatest platforms and performance opportunities for their brands?
Yeah, I think the best advice might be just don't try to do it all on your own. Like it's very difficult because there is a lot. I rely on my team to get some of these new things. Like I am on like an older millennial right now. Like I don't know. Like I don't necessarily use a lot of TikTok, but I need to know. So I'm just check it on just for the sake of understanding the content and how it works. But you can't do it all like on your own. Like it's a lot easier to delegate a little, get a little bit of support to understand what is working, and you don't need to do it all as well. It all depends on your budgets. The channel needs to make sense for you. Being on every single platform, that might not mean anything. If you spread yourself too thin, you're putting your effort in whole much. Of course, getting overwhelmed is so easy. So just don't do it. It's like if that makes sense for your brand, and if you think the users are your organic presence already have a little bit of like a movement, of course, like you can invest in it. But I don't necessarily suggest like just because it's there that you need to do it. It needs to make sense for your budgets, for your time, right? Like you can't put enough time to every single one of them. Knowing them is important, but being on every single one of them, I think, yeah, I can see myself being extremely overwhelmed if for every client that we were running 8 different channels. And as a matter of fact, unless you're using an attribution platform, every channel taking 100% attribution, you wouldn't really know which one is actually adding value unless you're really using an attribution platform. So that's like a different way of looking at it. So how we do on the paid front is we add one channel, we test the channel, so a month or two. We see the incremental growth. If you're using an attribution platform, it's a lot easier. If it works, great, we add another channel. If it doesn't work, we kill it, we add another channel. So it's kind of like in progress of like kind of testing it out one at a time to understand the actual true value. But then again, unless you're spending like a couple of hundreds, $400,000, there's no way having so many channels. Like you can still scale like up to 100K on Meta and Google alone. Like it's easy. And you can add like TikTok to the mix and you can still do it. So it's a game of like, what are the goals? What are the short-term, long-term goals? What are we trying to accomplish with spreading ourselves too thin in all different various channels? It's nice to test them for sure, but it just makes sense. It's just important the right time to test the channel without overexhausting your the resources in a way.
That makes total sense. I know some brands make hundreds of thousands of dollars a quarter on TikTok shop alone. I mean, it is wild. And for the record, I'm an older millennial too. I don't love TikTok. I feel like it's always shouting at me, like, just like, quiet. I would probably be woke as a joke if I spent more time on TikTok because I get it, but I'm also like, I'm more of like Instagram, like everything is silent unless I choose it not to be silent. I'm like, stop yelling at me. Um, it's just a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
okay, so I know we have just a couple minutes left. I just have a few more questions if you have a little bit of time.
Of course.
Okay, so anything you're predicting on the horizon in terms of digital marketing for brands in 2025 and beyond? I know everyone's all hot on AI. Do you see that influencing the work that you're doing? Something else? Is there anything we should keep our eyes and ears open for?
AI for sure. We already like integrated AI to our business platform to analyze creative and analyze data. It is so valuable that it saves so much time. It is just especially, and then at some point it will be AI based creatives. I think it's still not good enough, but at least analyzing the creatives with AI, analyzing the full picture business or an ad account with AI is actually valuable. It helps us a lot. We still need the human touch in it. Like we definitely need that, but I love using it. I love utilizing it. So now our platform weekly sends us this like AI based suggestions that I just kind of take a look and I'm like, all right, this is just wonderful. And we didn't need to spend a minute on it because it's just automated and everything is come. So I think AI is valuable. We need to stay on top of it. We just, all of us, as marketing people, it's super valuable. Another thing is, I think as a matter of fact, if this continues, I definitely do expect the cost to decline slightly. So maybe it will be easier for brands to advertise on channels like Meta because it's been extremely expensive the last few months. So that might be one like benefit of it. But I think everything, especially in our digital world, is going more and more about creative is a new growth hacking. So we are going to focus on creative. Our main goal right now this year is of course, channel diversification. Of course, customer clicks and customer impressions are valuable, but we are going to tone and hone in completely to creative to understand what is the piece that AI needs to take, what is the piece that we need to do a better job to get capture the user attention. So creative for sure is going to be on top for every brand that is out there.
Amen. That's amazing. All right, Fulya, it's been such a pleasure. I love before we hopped on the call, getting to know you a little bit more as well too. I love meeting another fellow Middle Eastern female founded agency owner. How cool is that? I mean, living in New York City, running this badass marketing agency. How do you zen? How do you take care of you?
Yeah, so this is like it's an interesting little thing that I have that I do every morning. I have a deck of cards, which I think I just really it's a little woo-woo, but it's so relaxing. It's like a tarot, but it's Voyager. It's more lighter, I think. I do take a moment like during like early. I'm an early riser. I was never before starting the agency, but now I'm like 5:36. I'm up. So what I do is like with the sunrise, I just have an intention for the day, whatever's going on, pull a card. Just at the end of the day, I'll come and then just like pretty much like journal what happened during the day. It just really kind of like relaxes me to understand what is going on. And I was like dive into challenges or whatever is the good for the day and then just focus on it and understand like what I could do better every day. So it's kind of like in 10 minutes, 15-minute morning thing. I used to work out a lot. Right now, I'm not doing a good job, but I know every time I do it, I feel great. So I'm just kind of like trying to get back to it, but this kind of like this even having 10-15 minutes early in the morning for myself without turning on my phone, like looking at my computer at all, is just been game changing for me when it comes to the mental state. And then a little bit of mindfulness did help a lot for sure.
That's beautiful. Everything in seasons too. And if there's something that I've been certainly picking up on since starting this podcast is that almost every business owner that I've interviewed integrates a bit of woo. I think we need a little woo. So woo helps balance the data and the demand. Yeah, the alt face every day. Give me the woo. It was such an honor to have you. Where can people find you in Bowery Boost?
Very, very nice to talk to you. So Bowery Boost has an Instagram and TikTok, Bowery Boost at Bowery Boost. My team is doing a great job building content there. And myself, Fulya Uygun on LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect with anyone who's interested in chatting.
Amazing. Fulya, thank you so much. I appreciate your time and energy.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been wonderful.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope this episode deposited some useful advice and insights to help you grow your wealth. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future conversations. You can find more resources, episode details, and updates at growyourwealthpodcast.com. And let's keep the conversation going on Instagram. Follow me at Grow Your Wealth Podcast. I'd love to hear your thoughts, questions, or takeaway from today's show. Until next time, remember, burnout is optional. Take care, and I'll see you next week.